In my opinion, this is absolutely the best meme to have come out of this whole thing, okay? You got Goku and Vegeta here, and it's this, let's fight somewhere empty, and then the next frame down here is the Concord Steam charts record, and it just hits the right spots here, guys. I'm so glad somebody made that. A+, guys. A+. But we've got a Japanese citizen over here that wants to bring to our attention just why that $200 million is going to come crashing down on top of Japan's market. And so this user says, in Japan, companies, government agencies, and schools are singing the praises of diversity and inclusion, DEI. But Mr. Grums, a game industry insider who is also a Japan expert, points out that Japan is 2 to 3 years behind the DEI trend. American publishers and film production companies are beginning to understand that DEI is a failed strategy. This is a trend that is not just in the entertainment industry, but across all industries. And so what this person is pointing out is that Japan has gotten, I guess, like 2016's level of woke going on right now, which, as you know, that went so well for us. That went so well, 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017 there, just real stellar years for American cohesion. And then we got into the 2020s and it just all boiled over. So, that's what I wanted to bring up with this, though, is that this is kind of the ground level situation of what's going on with Japan and why Sony is making the moves that it's making, despite what's happening in the Western markets in a response to these moves. You see, and so right here we've got Permaband saying people need standards and shouldn't give Elden Ring such a high score. And so over here, you've got this person right here, and now note this name in this avatar. It says that black hat you hate to love. I think it's a hat. I don't know what that emoji is. The ninja? Ah, yes. That ninja you love to hate. Yes, I believe that's what it meant. No other word. And it says, too many bugs at launch. Elden Ring was such a buggy mess at launch. Just to get a stable frame rate, you needed to play the PS4 version on PS5. That doesn't make sense. But, okay. Gaming reviews need standards. It says down here, IGN gave a solid 10 to Elden Ring. IGN is usually it's a meme. IGN ratings are a meme. It says Elden Ring is a massive iteration on From Software. Began with the Soul series, bringing its relentlessly challenging combat to an incredible open world that gives us the freedom to choose our own path. And as you see, Elden Ring is a massive success, Kai Cenat, I think I've said his name right. Let me know. Kai Senat? I want to say it's like Kai Cenat, as in like send that, but I'm not sure I've got it right. You have to let me know. He's a pretty cool guy, and he's pretty popular with the Elden Ring players. And then meanwhile, over here, this very same person says, you think at Paul Tassi will post Concord's PlayStation performance or nah? It's currently number 4 on PlayStation Store. Congratulations to Firewalk Studios. Number 4 on PlayStation Studio. How did that happen? This is a slow day on Play. Oh, do you think they just put it there? They just went like, whoop, there you go. Just whoop, just slid her right over there. Do you think that's what happened to it? I think that's what happened to it. And his situation we've got over here is you say Guardians, I say Bebop. And this is what his comparison is to these characters together here from Concord. And honestly, it feels more Star Warsy because of the way that the shading and the lighting angle is done here. And I don't get Cowboy Bebop out of this whatsoever. I honestly don't get Guardians of the Galaxy either. It definitely looks like Star Wars. Like Disney Star Wars. Not good Star Wars. Disney Star Wars. And then there's that thing that grows in your backyard. And this is the Wasteland Lark. Wow. Wow. Do you want to be the Wasteland Lark? And do larky things? And Larkacord? Conlark? Anyway. And he says, I take back what I said about not effing with PlayStation service games. Hashtag Concord. Ain't gonna lie, Concord looking like a banger. One-Off and Lennox are the Concord characters I'm eyeing. This is the they-them robot. He-him robot, excuse me, with the pronouns. And Dollar Store Yondu, right? That's Dollar Store Yondu. Oh, okay, so that's where they got the Guardians thing, because that's why he looks like Yondu, just like the dollar store version. Yeah. Well, and again, it doesn't get much better from that. So if you do want to go play the Wasteland Lark, right? If you're just like, man, I really want to be Mushroom Man today. I'm feeling the shroomage. I'm a fun guy. You understand me? A fun guy. It's for all your dad joke appreciators out there. But surprise, you're going to be waiting, about 8 to 10 minutes in order to get into a match with over 60% of the players already gone from Concord. That's right. Remember that 660 we showed you over there on the Steam chart? Well, 60% of those folks have dropped off the map, quite literally. Concord player reports over 8-minute wait time as game has lost over 60% of its players. So what this means is that in order to get a match going, the matching system is waiting for an opposite player or a group of opposite players in this case. And wouldn't you know, it's a little hard to do that when there's only 100 people playing and like 40 of them are just AFK to make the Steam chart look like there's somebody there. You know, I'll give it that there's like maybe 70 people playing this. Maybe I'll give them that. But other than that, I don't think so. I really don't. The Steam chart shows this anyway. So here we go. We got even more great information from PC Gamer. Got a little comparison here. PC Gamer starts off with, and it says, the eagerness to grave dance on unpopular games has become a bad habit. Bad. And so before that, though, last year around this approximate time, PC Gamer said this about Redfall. It says more people are playing 2017's Prey than this year's Redfall on Steam. And the latter's player count fell all the way to 2 players last Sunday. Then they go on to say this. They say, sounds like Redfall was doomed from the start. And you have to ask yourself, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by that? Especially to come over here and say, why the grave dancing on these unpopular games has become a bad habit. Really? Grave dancing? That's what you call this? When the devs go out and call people all sorts of wonderful names, start hiding replies and charging money to have them hidden, if you will. For those that are unaware of how to unhide the replies with the 3 dots up at the top. But there again, game devs, right? Just on top of it all, just real plugged in fellas. But it gets worse, okay? You remember Gollum? Gollum, currently, heel versus babyface, is having a great time with his chat, torturing him in that game, super chatting him to keep him playing the game. But unfortunately, Gollum, on its launch in May of 2023, arguably a tad bit better of an economy, I'll give him that, tad bit better of an economy, managed to get 758 at its all-time peak players, right? So this is online players, 758 all-time peak, which is back in May 25th, 2023. Now, Concord couldn't beat that. They landed with 697. Now, when you go over to the Steam chart page, it says 660. So I'm thinking that 660 is more the real number, and whatever this is got spoofed somewhere. And again, this is the all-time peak. This is as high as they've ever had amount of players online, just to, to illustrate here the gap, right? Gollum is not a game anybody likes. It is roundly disliked. It is a meme game. You play this in order to entertain people because it's just torture. I'm pretty sure at Gitmo, this is being played, and that Dustborn game, and then also Life is Strange. Those are the only games you're allowed to play at Gitmo. And they make you play them, like that Clockwork Orange, where they hold your eyes open and duct tape your hands to the controller. Yeah. Yeah. Piss buckets. You remember those, don't you, from the Battlefield days? Yeah. We got some memes again. We've got the Gaming Prophet NYC here. NYC_Prophet, if you want to check him out. The gaming media is trying their best to save PlayStation and Concord. You got PlayStation Bro and Level Up Level Up being a PlayStation Bro here. Their supporters wearing their hat here. You got Level Up try and like shake him awake, like, dude, you gotta wake up, Concord. Then they're like doing mouth to mouth. They're like listening to see if like Concord is like, you know, asking for help, you know, quite clearly it is. And then they start making out, and then Kotaku's like, I know what'll help. You know, listener Conte just starts making out with Concord. This isn't CPR. I assure you, what they're doing to this not alive thing, to this unalive shell, is just desecration. It's not helping. So you have Alyssa Mercante over here at Kotaku making out with Concord. It's not helping. You know, no matter how hard you play tongue hockey with this loaf of a game. I'm sorry, I'm trying to obey YouTube's rules, and I just found out last night they've censored the OF thing, so you can't even talk about OF anymore. Now, your brain can go wild with whatever OF is, but I assure you the top 3 are probably correct. And you just can't talk about that anymore, apparently. That's just not a thing. You can't mention corn. You know, you hear people talking about corn. Well, this is why. YouTube's very sensitive about that. So I can't tell you that Alyssa Mercante is going to do some OF stuff here to that Concord shell. See, I have to be very careful. YouTube is not a fun place to try and tell a story if you want to use spicy dialogue, right? Do you remember spicy dialogue? Sentence enhancers from SpongeBob? Do you remember sentence enhancers? Well, you know, thanks to these freaks, we can't use it. I'm probably going to get demonetized now that I said freaks. I've said it twice now. Oh, no. Anyway, there's Kotaku playing tonsil hockey with Concord, and IGN is... I think they're giving him a hand job. Anyway, we're going to move on from that one because Grums has some very bad news. Now, this is real, okay? This is real. F around and find out. Sony said to be increasing prices to make up for the $200 million loss that they're dealing with on Concord. A game that took them 8 years to put together, that summated, if you will, summited, climaxed, if you like that word, after the IGN's help, you see, managed to make it all the way to 660 all-time online players ever, right? The highest. And it's been a nosedive since then. They put $200 million into that. I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you look at those characters from Concord and you go, yeah, this is worth $200 million. This is absolutely it. And it is quite literally a one-for-one clone of Overwatch. I'll make a video about the gameplay if you want. Let me know down in the comments if you want a video about the gameplay rather than this whole mess around it. And I'll show you guys. It's almost identical. I mean, for legal purposes, it's a little bit different, but it is, in my opinion, and I'm not a lawyer and I'm not a person that's going to decide this for the legal purposes, okay? So this is just my opinion. In my opinion, that is a 1-to-1 Overwatch rip. Like, that is Chinese bootleg as it gets. You just copy, paste, and put in some freako characters. I guarantee the majority of the budget was spent on consulting and me time. You know, just putting stuff in the office for the people to go hang around and chat in rather than doing their work. So I want to point this next part out, though. And this sucks, okay? This sucks. Making up for the Concord loss, PlayStation 5 set to receive yet another price hike in Japan. Because the PlayStation 5 is selling so well to begin with, Sony's got to make up that $200 million somehow, and you good old Japan, the home market. Guess who gets to pay for it? Meanwhile, the yen is at the weakest it's been in, I want to say, since before World War II. I don't even know if it existed before World War II. It's pretty weak. Let's put it that way. It's pretty down there. And so much so, we have a user here that's going to talk to us about that. So here we have it. So the Japanese yen is way, way, way down here. Okay? Way down. So what I am estimating this to mean is that it is deeply, deeply depreciated against the dollar all the way down here. And so when you get down to this point where you're not really competing on the global market as far as your currency goes, like just for someone to take a vacation in Japan right now, it would be billions of yen for them to come here. Now that seems like a big number, but that's how yen is calculated in Japan. There's 1,400 yen is around what you would spend on a DVD. You know, uh, 100 yen is like getting a dollar. It's like a dollar. You get like a soda out of a machine for 100 yen, and they come in little coins. They come in coins. And now 500 yen is like a $5 bill, that kind of thing. It just sort of upscales without the decimal point, I guess. But it gets pretty wild when you start getting into yen converting to another currency, particularly the dollar. And so now you have them trying to balance this as the cost of rice, as the cost of rice is skyrocketing. I'll get there eventually. There it is. The price in Japan reaches an 11-year high, okay? This is food. As you know, it's a tropey trope, whatever you'd like to think about it, stereotype, whatever you'd like. Rice is very popular in Japan, okay? That may make some people laugh because of, duh, sushi is a main component of it, yes. Think about that, though. The price of rice in Japan reaches an 11-year high, and Sony's solution to their problem is to rake it to the Japanese even harder by jacking up the price of the PS5. Right, and we'll go back over here to this chart right here from Reuters, this write-up. It says, IMF sees the scope for Bank of Japan to keep raising rates. The Bank of Japan can raise interest rates gradually as heightening inflation expectations leave further scope to normalize its ultra-loose monetary policy. The International Monetary Fund said this: the speed of further rate increases will be very data dependent, says the Bank of Japan, and they're going to look at the pace at which inflation, wage growth, and inflation expectations heighten in normalizing policy, said the IMF chief. Now, basically what that means is that much like the Federal Reserve in the USA, the Bank of Japan just they're going to raise interest rates, which again is going to make borrowing very difficult. So if you don't, which again, a lot of people, even in the millennial age group over there, they're called the forgotten generation. A lot of people in the millennial age group, they don't have, let's assume $500 to drop on a PlayStation 5. Okay, that's not out there. That's a choice between food for probably a month, a month's worth of rice. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is $500 able to buy you a month's worth of rice? I could be wrong. I don't know. I think that sounds right. Like a couple of big old sacks of rice is what I'm thinking. Not like a truckload, But again, let me know down below. So if you think about that they're going to jack that up maybe over $500. But let's say that's $500 to get $500, what comes out to be $500. And now again, luxury brands increase prices in Japan amid the sales surge. A depreciating yen diminishes the benefit when converted into dollars or euros, prompting price hikes. So this is what's happening. Their economy, the money's losing its power just domestically now. The money is losing its power. And so it's causing all of this stuff. I'm not a financial advisor. I just want to make sure I know that YouTube gets iffy about this. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just trying to explain that on the ground, this is evil. This is absolutely evil to do. Sony is now joining the other luxury brands in Japan by saying, you're going to pay more for what we have. Now, this doesn't mean they should go out and give out coupons for Mercedes-Benz and Acura. I know that Mercedes-Benz is in Japan, is in a Japanese brand, or whatever. They're, handing out coupons for Acura and Lexus and all this other jazz, right? You get a Honda NSX 10% off when you show your coupon at the dealership, right? It's not to say that they should do that. Honestly, these luxury brands should be seeking to bring products to the Japanese people that fit the availability of finance in the market. And what that means is maybe rather than the PS5, you guys bring back a bunch of PS4s, reissue the PS4 games, do things that will improve people's willingness to spend money versus food on your product. Rather than saying, oh yeah, you want to play Black Myth Wukong? Suck it up. Now you got to pay $500, Toshi. And that's just sad Toshi. Don't you remember Sad Hoshi?
It's like not even his fault that everyone's getting fired. It's because of something he couldn't control.
I will take the bullet on this one. This is my responsibility.
This one. Remember that? Ah, it's such a great joke. But that's what applies right here. This is the Sad Hoshi meme right here. That the company's just decided to blame this random guy, right? And in this case, they've decided to just put it all on the Japanese market. We lost $200 million trying to make the West happy. So now you in Japan are going to suffer. It makes perfect sense, right, guys? You just go back to the home office that supported your endeavor, got you off the ground, and spread your praises across the world once the internet was born. But no, those guys have to pay, right? They're gonna pay. And I don't understand. This is so bizarre to me, especially as someone on the outside of Japan, unaware of how their corporate culture works. Is this usual? Is this normal to fail outside of the country and then just take it out on the people there? At quite literally the most inopportune moment to do so? I don't know if you heard that truck go by. That was my faith in Japanese corporations just cruising right on down the road of history off the cliff into oblivion. I don't understand. You got Bandai soaking up the DEI. You've got Capcom trying to keep up with Disney. And now Sony's like, you know what? You're going to get it now, Japan. Not anybody else. We're certainly not going to offer you a better product or a product we can produce at a cheaper cost that'll get the same result. No. You're going to pay more. You're going to choose between food and our console. You understand? I hate it. I really do. Let me know how you feel about it down in the comments below. Maybe you guys have a better idea about this than I do, but I'm thoroughly disgusted by this. I can't imagine what possesses a company to go back to their home country and just rub a whole bunch of dookie from another land in their face. How humiliating, right? To be a Japanese citizen and to be a fan of Sony, to have been, let's say you're an older fan, let's say you're in your 40s or 50s, and you've been with Sony since they got out into the market as a video game producer. I don't even know where they started. Let's say they started in an arcade out in Japan somewhere, right? Let's say you've just been with Sony ever since they showed up that way, right? Let's say you've been with them through Final Fantasy, their issuing of Final Fantasy and all this stuff that they signed their name to. You got Sony TVs, all this stuff. And you're Japanese, right? You're a Japanese dude and you've supported your own, country's creation here, your own country's company, and man, they come through with this. They tell you that because these Americans didn't like what you created, what these British didn't like, what these Germans, French, Spanish, Italian, all these European people from far and away, what these Australian people didn't like, what these New Zealand people didn't like, you have to pay for. I don't know, guys. Until the next one, though, good luck out there.